Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Bielsko-Biala, which I just learned, to this the press conference of our event here, which will be an enduro round 2 and also downhill round 2, and with us a very interesting, as we say, brochette of athletes for our press conference here in Poland. Sławek, you are probably the person that has ridden the most in and around these parts. Tell us a little bit about the enduro trails around here and what you expect for the racing on the weekend.
Say,
no, those are good. It's working now.
It's working? Yeah. I don't have any expectation. I know this trails from the few years back, and it's like a classic stage around this area, really bumpy and pretty flat, so it makes it really hard to ride, and the most important thing is like to stay smooth. So yeah, I think will be a really good race, really physical also. I hope stays dry, so it will be like better for us riders to ride a little bit faster and make more fun from the ride.
Harriet, what a weekend last week where it was dry, where it was tough, it was technical. You spent the day training today, doing the Reconnaissance, and what are you feeling? Are you pretty much on the same wavelength as Sławek when it comes to the courses here?
Yeah, I think it's a lot like home, so I really enjoy the trails, and I mean, I don't mind if it rains or not. I might actually quite like it if it did. But yeah, like, definitely got to carry your speed well and just be a smart racer. I think you could kind of smash into everything a bit and not actually be going that fast. So I think, yeah, it's going to be a tough day out there mentally and physically. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Smash into things. Interesting that you would use that. Something that wasn't possible last week, especially that final stage. It was very brutal in the finale.
Yeah, like last week, you definitely needed to pace yourself through the whole day, like on the liaisons and in the stages. So I think this week, the liaisons are probably a bit nicer. So I think, yeah, you can just really attack all the stages. They're also a bit shorter than last week. So yeah, it'll be a bit more intense and you need to really be on it from out of the gate.
Tracy, what's it like going from a course that you guys know very well, as in finale last week, to something relatively totally new? I don't think you've raced here before. You don't really know the region. How does one prepare for that?
Yeah, I think it's a big draw for someone like me who's had a really long career. It was, a choice to come somewhere that was a new place to ride was definitely a big draw. So yeah, it's always exciting, I think. And it's also nice, I think, when you know that you haven't got any previous experience, and most of the riders don't have that. Whereas finale is somewhere that lots of people go and train. They spend a lot of time there outside of racing. They probably raced for 5+ years on those trails. So people always have I wouldn't say an advantage, but certainly a knowledge of an area. So it's quite nice when you come. It feels like it's going to be quite a level playing field for everyone. No one knows the terrain. No one really knows these trails. I think that's always nice to come to a new place. And I think there's always just there's a really good energy with a new venue. And I can see the passion for someone, that's been trying to get in a race here for 7 years. It's ace when we all then come, and everyone I've met in the forest today has been like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. So I think it works both ways. I think it's exciting for us to come somewhere new, and it's brilliant for somewhere like this to have the world's best riders come and ride their home trails. So it's great for the sport.
Yeah, it must be pretty goosebumps is what I would call it, to see some of these people just sat right here with us that are racing on 7 years of work, as you said, Tracy. It's pretty impressive. Talking about work, Fort Williams, what a way to start the season, Valley. You started off with a bang, just like you left off last season. But it came to that final motorway section where you were behind Nina. What was the key moment for you that made that win in Fort William?
I guess it wasn't my baggy jersey I was wearing. Yeah, no idea. I just really I really like the motorway. Also last year for World Champs, I just made up 2 seconds just at the jump, so I just really like riding jumps. So I'm happy to see this track. I think I counted like more than 30 jumps, so I'm happy, and to start the season with a win is something I honestly did not expect, because I have a new bike, a new team, so I thought maybe I need a bit more time to groove in and find my mojo, but it was already there, and the more time I spend on my new bike, the better and more comfortable it will be.
Troy, for you last weekend, 2 weekends ago, it wasn't a win, but it must have felt pretty damn good, because you're coming back after a couple of years of very frustrating injuries, getting back into the mix and all that. You're starting to feel getting your footing now, you think?
Yeah, for sure. It was a tough couple of years, not the results that I was... I guess I was putting in so much work and not getting the results that I was expecting. And then, similar to Valley, we're on a new bike as well, so it was a lot of a big change coming into this season, and a bit more of an unknown than normal with this new bike, just only racing it once at home. So it's good that it works and it goes fast, and honestly, the weekend with all my results and placing second in the final was, it felt like a win for sure, but as a racer, I obviously would like to go that one step higher.
Sławek, you were kind of in the same situation in the finale. You were so close to the win. You had that mechanical. Is that something that's going to give you wings for this weekend here, plus having the Polish crowd behind you, cheering you on?
Yeah, that's for sure. Like it was super close. I won the longest stage during the whole race. So I know my fitness is on a good level and feel strong, so it makes me more confident for this race. And also, I know this place, I'm live pretty close to here, so it's also make me more comfortable to ride and race here. So I'm pretty excited for tomorrow.
Tracy or Harriet, do you have any cues, some inside info you want from Sławek maybe about some of the courses here? He's the guy. Now, on a serious note, Tracy, you're a veteran. You've been around for a few years. You've done a few disciplines. You're doing a lot of coaching. You're bringing up a lot of young women into the circuit. Are you learning anything from them, or are there certain things that are coming back that you said, hey, I haven't thought about that for a while, that make you a better rider?
Yeah, I think you never stop learning, and I think one of the nice things about working with younger riders, it kind of keeps things fresh, it keeps it exciting, it keeps motivation for me to keep riding, and I think you always take bits from everyone that you spend time with and learn with, and I think just trying to stay on youngsters' wheels, trying to hang on. Everything changes, technologies change, the way that people are training, their outlook on things. Everything's moving forward. So I think there's always ways to kind of, take advice and take from others. It works both ways, and I think for me it's been really fun to be able to still kind of have the enjoyment that I have on my bike. It's not very often. I'm not going to be at all the races this year, just picking a few, and I chose this one particularly because it was a new venue. So after all the years, it's nice to go new places. So I'm just enjoying the time I get to ride my bike, and it's ace to be able to spend time with the likes of Hattie, who's been coming up the wings and now is really showing her promise. So it's ace.
Valley, in your case, this is probably the first year since we've been riding elite with all the injuries that we've had, COVID, that almost all the elite women, top elite women anyway, and up and coming women are healthy. Do you feel a different pressure coming into this season?
I mean, obviously everyone is on pace. Like we've seen in Fort William, the top 5 podium has never been that close together, which is also super exciting. But also with the new venue, it's going to be super cool to see, because I believe we will see new faces on the podium, especially with how different the track is to Fort William. I feel like that more mature riders have a certain advantage when we race venues more often, and especially the younger riders like Phoebe or Gracie, they will love this track with all the jumps, and it just suits their riding style. So I feel like it's a bit more fair if we have more new venues for everyone.
Harriet, do you feel it's the same way when it comes to the enduro racing, where it's a new track, everybody kind of starts on the same level of playing field? Do you feel that riders will kind of feel that also as they set up for stage 1, 2, and so forth?
Yeah, I think in enduro it makes quite a big difference, especially as we only get one practice run down a track. But as well, in finale, I didn't realize I think it was Izza's like 10th year racing there or something, which was crazy. And you just think, wow, like if someone's been there that much, they really know their way around a track. So yeah, I think it'll be really interesting, and I think the same again, it'll mix up who's at the top and yeah, where everyone comes. So yeah, especially like I'm quite new to it all as well still, like only my 4th season. So yeah, like a new venue is always a lot of fun.
Sławek, when it comes to a new track like this one, and I'll ask if anybody else wants to answer this question, it's a new track, enduro, downhill, as in racing, World Cup level. How does a team prepare the bike setup for something that's unknown like that? What work goes into the days leading up to racing?
For me, it's I keep pretty much the same setting for the whole year. It's not much changes. We need to set up the bikes really like for everything what's coming on. So it's like a neutral setup, and I just added like few clicks of each, and pretty much that's it.
Troy, when it comes, especially you're riding a new bike this year, and I'd like to hear Valley and Tracy also when it comes to the E-enduro bikes. Setup-wise, how does a team approach this, especially on the new bike where you're still trying to get that fine-tuning done?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing was walking the track today. You get to see it firsthand and see the jumps, how steep the steep sections are and how many steep sections. So from that, we can kind of take a reference from other tracks in the past on how high I think I want my bars, and you know how much PSI to put in the fork, and what compression on the rear shock. So you kind of just need to go back to your notes that you've had from previous tracks that you think are going to be similar, and that's kind of like the best baseline to start with. And then as soon as you ride the bike, you'll know, you know, if you need to go up in compression or change tires or whatever it needs to be, you know, as the track develops.
I think 3 of the top 5 bikes, I may be wrong in the numbers, but 3 of the top 5 bikes in Fort William were the electronic suspensions. How are you guys feeling that? What's your take on that? Is it a big advantage?
I believe it's a big advantage. It's the future of this sport, I would say. You know, electronic suspension is what's going to win races from here on for a long time. So I don't think it's going to be perfect for every track, but also the development that you can potentially do in this field is massive. So I enjoy having it.
Valley, your take on that?
Well, everything that Troy said.
Yeah. On the same level. E-enduro, big difference when it comes to bike setups. Bike's a bit heavier. You'll have that long power stage. Is it something that you guys really pay attention to when you come up to a new course?
Yeah, I think not so much with enduro. There's such a variety of riding, and I think this year also we've seen these first 2 races now. We've seen quite physical, not particularly, like say, downhill style, which I say the last 5 years, I feel like enduro has very much kind of closed the gap to the kind of the downhill side, and it's been very much multiple kind of downhill stages. And I get a definite feel that this year it's shifting back a little bit towards those more physical stages, tighter liaisons. So I think that also changed a little bit how you set your bike up, and potentially it might do bike design in the future. You don't necessarily need that mini downhill bike, because actually you've got to pedal it, you know, pretty hard and pretty fast. And somewhere like here, you need to have a pretty light, nimble bike. So I think certainly there's definitely some gains to be had from a setup. And even I think, you know, bike choice, if people have the chance to ride slightly maybe less travel, more nimble bike somewhere like this, where you've not got that same steepness and gravity, then I think that's going to be an interesting choice. And I think, yeah, I'm excited to see where enduro goes this season, because it's definitely, I feel like it's more of a shift towards the physicality, which I think is nice to see that differentiation between kind of downhill and enduro, and it's good to see.
Sticky question, one after the other. Apart from Harriet, who's going to win this weekend?
In the enduro or the downhill?
Enduro.
Men and women's?
Let's go women.
I
was going to say who's second, surely.
Instead of saying who's your biggest rival, that's the question.
I mean, you never count out Isabeau. I mean, she's a woman to beat, so yeah, I think she's the one I want to try and beat anyway.
Slavik?
In the men?
Yep.
It's a tough question, but yeah, Richie looks really strong on this course. I spent with him whole day today, and I think he will be fast for sure.
Valley?
Nina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer. Troy?
Obviously, it's probably Luik. He's showing what he's got this year, and I think he'll be hard to beat on a track like this.
Tracy?
Yeah, and I think for my E-enduro, I think Florenzia from the Orbea team, she's been the world champ for e-bikes, and she's certainly the person that's kind of really training for this full on. So I think she's always going to be hard to beat. Certainly, there's some long power stages, and that's where you can definitely lose time with mistakes, and it does sometimes sway the race. So yeah, it should be hard to beat.